I also have A Head Full of Ghosts. A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. It's a typical book. So this book scared the hell out of Stephen King. I think that he's either getting really easy to scare in his advanced years, or I don't know. I think that he actually genuinely did like this book. I wouldn't call it super scary, but it is unsettling, definitely. The front and the back don't match. There's a lot of information to read back here instead. I myself prefer a book with less information on the back because I have Wikipedia and stuff, so I can just look it all up. But it does have an interesting cover, interesting colors, doesn't tell you a lot. But the stairway does figure into the story, so at least it has something to do with it, which is a bonus point. I guess it technically goes this way. So the head full of ghosts, stairway full of ghosts. Head full of stairways. A book cover full of sideways stairways. I like it. Meredith and Marjorie are the two sisters that feature in this book, and I really like their dynamic. And there are portions of this book, I wouldn't call them necessarily scary, but they were gripping, and maybe it's because I have a sister, and there's like little scenes in this that are very scary because your heart can leap into your throat, more so when you see your sibling in danger than when you yourself are in danger. And he captures that really, really well. The stairway figures into scenes like that. I mean, even just seeing your sibling trip and fall with an armload of laundry could do that exact same thing. And it's taking those little tiny, almost like a jump scare feel, and making it and using that in something larger, which makes it even more gripping. I didn't necessarily have to put the book down, but it did give me a moment of pause, which is amazing, really. I'd heard on a podcast recently that I've started listening to. It has a Canadian and an American booktuber, from what I understand. They cover horror books, and the name of their show is Books in the Freezer. And they talked about a jump scare in a book and how that's impossible. That's the closest thing that you can get to is found in this. I wouldn't call the whole story very, very scary. It is a possession story, sort of. And I like those ambiguous stories where it could or could not be paranormal activity, or could or could not be other stressors within the main characters' lives. And it's told from the point of view, for the most part, of young Mary, who was the younger sister in this ordeal. And it's also told from the point of view of a blogger, Karen Brissett. So there's blog posts intermittent within the book, and so it's a little bit modern writing. I enjoy it very much. I do like the Rachel. There's a character, it's a reporter that Mary is speaking to as an adult named Rachel, who wants a little bit of answers about this possession. And the reason why so many people are in on this, and so many people that aren't in the family have an opinion on this, is because they are part of a reality show, unfortunately, called The Possession, I believe, that runs throughout this narrative, making it, again, a different take on the whole possession story, a different take on these two girls living in almost this gothic, sequestered, cloistered life, where they're not only cloistered and sequestered because one of them is undergoing a terrible trauma, and the other one is too young to really digest it properly. Their parents are highly religious, so they've lived not a cloistered life due to that. It's a modern religious family, but it is a little cultish, it's a little uber Christian, so they've had sort of an outsider view on the rest of the world that way, and now they have cameras pointed at them in their home, where they mostly stay for the duration of this. So yeah, a little unsettling all around when you ask me. It's told mostly from the perspective of Mary when she was younger. So I really like that translation of the point of view of, say, I think she's 8 or 10-year-old girl. So highly enjoyable book that is very similar to We've Always Lived in the Castle. So if you're a Shirley Jackson fan and also like modern storytelling, then A Head Full of Ghosts is a super interesting read. I wanted to punch Marjorie, punch her in her stupid smiling face. She was making fun of me and my silly book and its silly stories. Still, I couldn't look away from the page. It was terrible and would give me nightmares, and yet there was something wonderful in its terribleness. Marjorie said, "Look, there's Goldbug." She pointed to a small yellow figure with X'd out eyes and stick figure arms and hands reaching out of the molasses flood to no one and everyone. I shut the book without saying anything. Marjorie put the book on my lap and then rubbed my back. I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have told you this story. I was quick. Too quick to say, no, tell me anything. Tell me all your stories. But tomorrow, can I get a story like the old ones? A story that you made up? Yes, Mary, I promise. I slowly slid off the bed, purposefully looking away from Marjorie into the wall and the cluster of posters. I hadn't really noticed when I first came in the room, but they were hung so they overlapped one another. Only certain pieces of the assorted singers, athletes, and movie stars were visible. Disembodied hands, legs, arms, hair, a pair of eyes. In the middle of all those collage body parts, everything seemed to focus on a mouth that was either laughing or snarling. Hey, what do you think of the posters? I was done with this. I had both books in my arms and they were impossibly heavy. Lame, I said, hoping it would sting her a little. You can't tell Mom or Dad because they'd lose their minds, but when I woke up the room was like this, I swear. And when you look at the posters in the mirror... Shut up, you're not funny. I ran out of her room, not wanting her to see me crying. So that's a little snippet, and it gives an idea of how the two sisters relate. One is older, obviously, and has posters in her room and is a little more emo rock chick kind of thing. Budding teenagehood. And the younger girl likes to still have stories read to her, still makes cardboard forts and still draws signs and does cute arts and crafts things that little girls do. So there's a little bit of that clash of the older and younger as the kids are aging apart. But one of them is doing and saying things that are scaring the other kind of regularly and asking her to keep secrets. Never good things among sisters and never good things among youth. So it does start out on that odd foot, and you get to know how the sisters talk to one another and how youth talks to one another. He's very in tune with that, Paul Tremblay is. A Head Full of Ghosts was put up by William and Morrow in 2015, and you can probably pick it up wherever books are sold. He's a multiple Bram Stoker Award finalist or nominee, whatever. I should know these things, but he has 2 other books out since then. Someday in the coming year, I'm going to read Disappearance at Devil's Rock, which is getting good reviews. It's not necessarily horror. I wouldn't call this necessarily horror either, but it does have horror elements if you like possession, ghost stories, people acting strangely and people acting badly to one another, and sort of like the horrors of the modern world, especially reality TV. I don't watch any of it, but I'm scared of people that do. Head Full of Ghosts, it's a typical book.